Welcome to the Ministry Chick Network podcast. I'm Melissa Mashburn. The calling is real, so are the hard days, the budget conversations, and the difficult relationships, as well as the seasons where you wonder if any of this is actually working. This show exists for the woman who's in it for the long haul and needs someone in her corner who just simply gets it. Today, I'm joined by Erica St. Bernard. She's an ordained minister, a licensed therapist, and founder of Your Life's Well, who has spent 13 years helping women in ministry protect the things that keep them whole. Erica St. Bernard brings both the theological grounding and the clinical training to this conversation. And that combination, well, my friends, that combination is rare. She is the author of the book called We Over Me Principles for Marital Partnership. She also hosts Melanated Moments with Erica on Spotify. I have been looking forward to this conversation for many, many years now. And I think you're going to feel the same way about 5 minutes in. So let's get started. Hello, 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 Erica. First of all, thank you for being here with us. So excited and so geeked out to be able to go into this conversation. But for those that are meeting you for the very first time today, can you just share a little bit about yourself, your family, your ministry journey, and what you're
Mhm.
doing today?
Sure. So I'm delighted to be here. So thank you so much for the invitation. It's a joy. Let's see, who am I and how I got here? So I am a woman who loves the Lord first. And then I'm a wife, and then I'm a mom, and then I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I'm an ordained minister. I speak, I teach. I have a podcast called Melanated Moments with Erica. It's guided meditations for melanated women. And I do all these things not by my own strength, but because of my relationship with the Lord. That is the thread that runs through all the things that I do. And so anything that I do, know that I'm doing it with my whole heart because if it
Mhm.
doesn't fit that way, then it doesn't feel like it's something I should do. So I typically don't. I'm grateful for the opportunity I have to show up in the world that way. I realize that's not everybody's story. Some of us are pretending or, going along
Sure.
to get along. And so to be able to reach a space in my relationship with the Lord where I can own who I am and how God made
Mm.
me has been such
Yeah.
a gift. And that has been a journey. It wasn't immediate. There we can talk a bit more about that, but grateful for
Yeah.
the journey. My husband and I will celebrate 21 years of marriage in July. Yes, thanks. And we met and got married at the start of his journey in ministry. And so he was called to ordain ministry before I was. And so our lives were woven together in ministry context. And so
Yeah.
my husband is not a pastor, so I'm not a pastor's wife, but I'm a minister's wife, and that carries some of the similar weights of pastoral,
Mhm.
family dynamics. And so raising two kids, our daughter is 11, our son is 3. They are the joys of our lives, at least the little ones, because we enjoy our marriage too. So that's important. So yeah, that's a bit about me. I have a private practice in Maryland called Your Life's Well, where I offer therapy for individuals and couples who are seeking
Mm.
to be well, live well, and love well, and also integrate faith and spirituality in that work as well.
I'm so glad you said that because I really wanted to dig in on your life's well
Mhm.
because there's a woman that's listening right now who most likely feels like she's losing herself a little bit more each season. And I just want to ask you, what do you want her to know about why this your life's well phrase matters?
Mhm. It's a great question. It matters because literally your life is well, right? Like your life's well, right? This idea of your life is well. And it is well because God made it that way. Like God designed our lives to be well. Now, how we maintain that wellness is up to us to some extent. We
Mhm.
have to be willing to engage resources. Sometimes those resources are within our local church, sometimes they are outside of our local church, and they may include some mental health support. They may include some coaching. They may include,
Mhm.
a variety of things. For some, they include medication as a way to help us manage our mental and emotional wellness, especially when we're serving in positions where the people are
Yeah.
watching us. And sometimes they're watching and we're unaware. And sometimes they are watching us and we see them watching us. And that sometimes that's even more
Yes.
irritating. Like, why are you still looking at me? I made eye contact with you. You've not looked away. What's really
Right,
going on?
right.
What is that?
I'm so
Yeah.
glad you said that because I mean, it's true. It's 100% true. Whether you acknowledge it or not, it's happening.
Yeah. And they're looking at you, they're looking at how you navigate marriage, they're looking at how you parent your kids. They're looking at when your kids fall out on the floor, how you manage that. If you let them stay in the floor, that's a problem. If you get them up off the floor, that's a problem. Like there's almost no right way,
Y
quote unquote,
Yep.
to do any of the things. And so it's a benefit to be in community with other
Mhm.
women who get it.
Yeah.
And I know that that requires some work, right? Because
Yep.
as adults, unless we have kids who are gluing us together by some sort of sport or activity that we're doing, we have to do the extra work of being a friend and reaching
Yeah.
out and making the phone call and scheduling the FaceTime or the Zoom call or the Google Meet, whatever platform we use to
Right.
connect with our people. But in those spaces, we get to have somebody who sees us and like really sees us
Yeah.
like you saw me in South Florida years ago, right? You didn't
Mhm.
just see me with your eyes, but you saw my heart. You saw where I was and you
Yeah.
made space for her and you held her literally. You just let
Mm.
me, you literally wrapped your arms around me and you held me. And you didn't ask me to tell you what was going on. You didn't say what's wrong. You just held me. And because you held me with such tenderness, I was able to be real about where I was and how broken I felt. And I
Mm.
remember the ugly cry. I remember my body like shaking. And I was like, oh my gosh, you do not really know this lady. And you are crying all over her. And I was like, but I'm embarrassed. And I was like, actually, I'm not embarrassed. I need this
Mm-mm.
moment more than I need to care about whether she thinks
Yeah.
I'm weird.
Yeah.
Right. And
I'm
so we
so
all
glad you said
need
that.
those spaces. And I
Yeah.
think, how we come to them is in part our responsibility. I think sometimes
Yep.
I hear women in ministry talk about how lonely it is. And I'm not just disputing that it's lonely. I mean, yes, it
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
much be lonely. And also, when I want something else, I go look for it. I'm
Wow.
intentional about finding it, right? And
Yeah.
even if it's not like local close to me, I look online for it. And while online relationships aren't everything, they are something in the
Yeah.
interim until we can get in person. And then you can be intentional to say, hey, we've developed this online relationship. Let's meet up when you're coming into town, or let's plan a day trip to meet up in the space that's kind of mutual or, neutral to where we are. Central, maybe is a better word. But either way, this opportunity to be really intentional about reclaiming what it means to be well in community, because that's the other
Mm.
piece of it. Isolation is the enemy's workshop, right? You're over there
Yeah.
by yourself thinking you're the only one who's ever had
Right.
this happen. You're the only one who feels neglected or put aside for the church or for the ministry. And what about the
Yeah.
kids? And what about this? And what about all the things? And so when we're in community, though, we get to share stories. And in the sharing of story, we get to share resources. That happened to me, and this is what I tried. Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
read this book. Oh, yeah, this is a great podcast because it talks about this. Or, oh, yeah, this is a therapist that I know, and maybe she knows somebody in your area because she might not be licensed there, but she could be a resource. So, again, it's the way that
Right.
we're intentional about building those networks that help us
Yeah.
to rise as we're lifting.
I love that you said there was a that intentionality. If I need something, I'm gonna go look for it.
Mhm.
I think sometimes we get stuck in just waiting for God to like, ta-da! Here it
Mhm.
is. This is the
Yeah,
door. Go through here.
yeah,
Like we know.
yeah.
Or was it The Mandalorian? This is the way, or
Mhm.
something, or
Yeah.
this is not. I don't know, but
Mhm.
I think the key phrase that I heard you say was, if we need something, we need to go look for it.
Yeah,
Whether
yeah.
it's growth or friendship,
Mhm.
development,
Mhm.
community. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that counseling,
Mhm.
you have
Mhm.
to be proactive
Yes.
in that,
Yes, absolutely. That's a part
instead
of
of
how we met. Yeah, I was in a weird space when we were in South Florida, and I went looking. I said to my husband, "Hey, I'm in this weird space. I need some additional support." And he said, "Okay, you got my support. Whatever you need, let's make it happen." And so
Mhm.
literally, I did a Google search in the area, like where are women's ministries? Where are churches that have women's ministry that's local to here? Because I don't want to have to be too far away, and all the
Yeah.
things. And literally, you all were a couple bays over from where we were worshiping at the time, in this industrial park. And I was like, "This is weird. I might be one of few Black women. I don't know what
Yeah.
this is gonna look like, what this is gonna feel like." And what I say to myself is, God sent Melissa Mashburn, a white woman with open arms, to love me back to health in spirit.
Mm.
Because that season I call it it felt like I was in like a spiritual life support space.
Yeah.
And God was
Yeah.
using you, using your love, using your arms, using your care. Again, and you weren't asking tons of questions and you weren't asking me to perform anything. You were just allowing me to be. And that's what so many of us need. And sometimes the challenge is that we're not sure we're going to be met with that. And so I get it. I
Yeah.
get the reason we don't
No,
go look for
you're
it,
absolutely right.
right?
And
Because
fair, but look, you looked.
I
You did
did.
the research,
I did.
and then God showed it. We were literally like, we
Yes.
our churches were in
Literally.
warehouses out at US
Literally.
27 at the edge
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
world there in
Yeah.
South Florida,
Literally.
and they're
Yeah.
like 2
Yep.
units apart,
Literally. Literally. Yep.
and then you showed up, and I was just like, "Oh, we're gonna have fun. Like,
Yeah,
we're
and we
just gonna have
did, and we've
fun,"
been having fun. Yeah.
and it was just super, and when I say it was low key chill, it was
Mhm.
probably one of the most low key chilled times of my time when I
Mhm.
was doing women's ministry, believe it or not. It
Right.
wasn't like a big,
Mhm.
huge event or anything like that.
Mhm.
It was just a
Yeah,
room with a space for a few women
literally. Yep.
to talk
Yep.
and to be there for each other. And I'm
Mhm.
not even sure if that night that you were there, if there were other women there, or if it was just us.
Yeah, there were
Um,
a few, but there were like you said, there were so few of us, it didn't feel like I was in this big room with all these people, and oh my gosh, it was like, this is and it's almost like God said, "This is your person, go
ordained
into
it.
this room, right? Go into this room, the person is there to meet you," and you were, and
Yeah.
it was divine for sure. It was absolutely divine. I recall that season of my life with a bit of joy because of the few people God placed on that journey, and you're absolutely one of them. I think of you often and what that meant to me in the moment. And so for the woman who's listening and wondering, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling isolated, I'm feeling disconnected from my usual village of people, from the people I tend to usually do things
Mhm.
with, I want to encourage you to try again.
Mm,
Try again. Reach
yeah.
out again. Show up
Yeah.
for the small group again, right? Go to the meeting again. Go to the coffee house again. There might be somebody there who's sitting by themselves who needs a friend too, needs some company too. And sometimes
Yeah.
those small moments that feel incidental or just kind of random are the moments that God will use to help you develop the community that you need, who's not just for now, but for now so that you can become who you're supposed to be down the line,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so it's
I had a speaking coach. You're saying that, and it just made me think she wasn't like a ministry coach. She wasn't a business coach. She was a speaking coach, like early
Mhm.
on in my career. And there was this one phrase that she used to say, and it was called "Be alert to life."
Mhm.
Like, and it was in the context of what you can use for storytelling when you're communicating a message.
Yeah.
But I have always taken it as be alert to life, like, your assignment is around you, but you have to be looking for it. Like,
Mhm.
give me eyes to see, ears to hear. Like, I'm gonna show up, and if
Yep.
it's at the grocery, show me who I'm supposed to talk
Mhm.
to at the grocery. If
Mhm.
it's at Target, show me who
Yep.
I'm supposed to talk to at Target. If it's at the church or whatever, and I think that what you're saying plus this could really, um, be a powerful
Mhm.
combination for women if they were aware
Mhm.
and also intentional about looking and asking.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's say right now there's a woman, she's listening, she's hearing all of our stories, and she's like, "Oh, I can relate. I'm something's off. I don't know quite
Mhm.
what it is."
Mhm.
She's feeling a little depleted. She's kind of, I mean, we've all had seasons where we just kind of go through the motions.
Mhm.
She can't really quantify or name
Mhm.
what's off or what she's
Mhm.
lost. What is the first thing you want to say to her?
Yeah. One of the first things I wanna say to her is, "I see you,
Mhm.
and I get it." Even if our it is not the same, I get it. I
Yeah.
get what it is to be in a place where you can't quite put words to what you're feeling or what you're experiencing.
Mhm.
So first, I see you, and second, I would encourage her to pick up a journal and an ink pen or the voice recorder on her phone and let her rip.
Yeah, that's good.
Just say the things, write the things that are coming up. I like to do walk and talks where I'll go for a walk with my cell phone and I put on the voice memo and I'm just walking and talking about all the things I'm thinking and feeling, the things I love
Mm,
about where life is, the things that are still raggedy and not quite lined up the way they're supposed to be, the things that I'm still believing God for, and sometimes the things that I've stopped praying for because it seems like maybe God isn't listening. I talk
yeah.
about all of those things, right, in
Yeah.
those walking talks. And then I journal. I'm a big avid journaler. You can journal, in so many different ways. Some people, again, do audio, some people do writing. It's a great way to capture thoughts and feelings in a way that you don't have to polish them. You don't have to critique them even.
Yeah.
I've had clients that I've encouraged to journal and just throw the pages away. Like, it's not even like you have to keep it or read it. You can
Yeah.
just get it out of you, like, get it out of your head, get it off your
Yeah.
mind a
That
little
makes
bit.
sense.
And then sometimes clarity comes. You're like, "Oh, I'm actually feeling this way because maybe some of the stuff I wrote down." Or, "I'm
Mm.
feeling this way because something somebody said to me or did not say to me," right? So there's opportunity sometimes when we offload some of those things to get to a space where we can hear our own thoughts again. And more than
Yeah.
that, we can hear the voice of God again. Because
Mm.
sometimes our own voice and all the things that come with it are in there, like I think like a ping pong machine. Cling, 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 cling. It's all
Yeah.
lighting up and all kind of noisy. And it's like, hey, wait, if
Yeah.
I slow down and I can do a walk and talk or I can journal, whether I read it back to myself or just leave it in the book until next time and I turn the page and write anew, there's an opportunity for me to offload some of those things and give me a bit of clarity. And then if I discover that, hey, I'm still struggling to know what's really going on, therapy is a great resource.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
great resource because it's somebody who's outside of your family, outside of your friendship circle who cares because that's what they're trained to do. I'm a
Right.
trained carer, right? I'm trained to care about people. I'm trained to listen. And so when I'm sitting with clients, I am hearing what they're saying, but I'm also hearing what they haven't said,
Yes. I love
right?
that.
I'm listening to so tell me more about that. And they're like, I didn't say that. And I'm like, I know. That's why I'm asking you. Like,
Yeah.
what's that part? Right? In a way that girlfriends and guy friends and other family members are not listening, a clinician is trained to. And so that really
Right.
does provide opportunity for some clarity to happen, right? In terms of, I'm thinking this, I'm feeling this. Are they connected?
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure what I'm feeling, but these are my thoughts. What are the
Mm.
feelings? Right. So there's an opportunity for us to, some of us are better in quotes at thinking, others of us are better at feeling, others of us are, well, I don't know, somewhere in the middle. And so therapy is a
Or we
space where
swing everywhere.
swinging all over the place, right? And then so
We're
therapy,
women, we're allowed to do
we're
all of
women, we're allowed to do that, absolutely. And the benefit of therapy is that somebody, again, who is trained to care, somebody who is trained to listen, can help you hear what you said. Because I'll say to
Yeah.
my clients sometimes, "Did you hear what you said?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, say the last thing you said again." And they say that last thing again, Melissa, and like the lights go on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, that wasn't me, that was you. That was
Right.
your epiphany. That was your aha. That was your wow. That's where I'm sitting." And then from that space, we can continue to do the work of supporting and figuring out what's next. But that
Mm.
benefit of slowing ourselves down enough to say, to get curious and ask, like
Yeah.
the same way you would care for a friend. "Hey, you seem a bit off. Can we talk about what's going on?"
Yeah.
Say
That's
that to
good.
yourself in the mirror. "Hey, you seem a bit off.
Mm.
Let's think about what could be going on." And usually we start with the kids and the husbands and the ministry, and it's like, "No, but I'm asking about you." Right?
Yeah.
Michael Jackson said, "Start with the man or woman in the mirror. Talk to her, figure out what's going on with her." And when you do that, oh my goodness, things
Yeah.
start to shift. Not
I
immediately, but
Yeah,
gradually.
but it's kind of we kinda do similar things in coaching, even
Mhm.
in helping to continue to ask questions
Mhm.
and peel back the layers. I love this
Yeah.
whole walk and talk
Yeah.
idea. I have
Yeah.
not been a journaler.
Mhm.
I was as a child, but not like my daily life
Mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
journaling and processing. But in this season of healing and recovery that I've been in since March, I
Mhm.
started journaling. And at first, I'm an achiever, so I'm like, I got this done, I got that done, and I was like, wait, this is not the point of this.
Right.
This is a place for me to kind of unpack. Oh,
Yep.
that hurt my feelings, or when they did that, I
Mhm.
was mad. Why was I mad? Why
Yeah.
is this frustrating me so much that I can't get things done the way I thought of?
Mhm.
And so it's been I love the walking and talking thing. I'm also loving the fact that I could do this on a verbal note kind of thing, but it's been super cathartic to
Mhm.
peel back, and actually I've been going back and looking at my journal from right after the surgery to in the last couple of days and just seeing,
Mhm.
and it's kinda one of those things where you can, you talk about taste and see that the Lord is good. When you look back,
Yes.
you can look forward because you can
Yes.
look back at all the things that God has
Mhm.
done and said,
Mhm.
"Okay, well, he didn't leave me here.
Right.
So why am I afraid here?" Or you can start to one of the things that I tell people even in coaching, in some of the forums and the questions that I ask, I
Mhm.
said, "I'm like an investigative reporter. I'm using your words.
Yes.
I'm not putting my words into this. I'm using your why do you keep saying need? Why do you keep saying
Mhm.
this?" And so
Yeah.
helping that I love that you just gave her some very practical
Mhm.
legs on
Yes.
something that she hasn't been able
Yes,
to
yes.
quantify. So it kind of leads me into the next question. So you've been sitting with women. It's got to be more than 13 years of sitting with women in ministry,
Yes, yes.
because our conversation was more than 13
Yes,
years
you're
ago.
right. Yes, so I guess longer than that, yes. So
So
let's
yeah,
say 13 years licensed, right? Prior to that, it
okay,
was just
there you
in
go.
my
That,
life.
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. So what is the thing that takes women out that they in general, I know I'm generalizing here with
No.
this question, that
Mhm.
takes women out that they never saw coming, and what does it look like before it becomes a crisis?
Mhm. So many things as you suggested, but I think one of the big ones is how much we trying to find the right word. Initially, the words lose ourselves, but then sometimes it's
Mm,
surrender. Like I
okay.
think, and not in
There's
a
a
good
big
way,
difference between those 2 words.
right? Right. So we lose ourselves sometimes in these roles with these
Yeah.
responsibilities, right? The woman that we were before we got married, before we had kids, before we started serving in ministry,
Uh-huh.
she evolves and she's different. And that would happen no matter what journey her life took. And because we have chosen to follow Jesus, that journey looks all the ways it looks, right? We've got this map, but then there's a detour, and then there's a road closure, and then there's this other thing. And we're like, wait. So the getting lost part, like along the way, feeling lost, yes, but also the parts of ourselves that we lose touch with or lose connection to because we're trying to perform
Mm,
in a role. We're trying to perform as a ministry wife. We're trying to
yeah.
perform as the parents of of ministry children. We're trying to perform in our executive roles and functions. And so sometimes the tension and the friction and the frustration in our relationships isn't always about the other people. It's about the
Mm,
incongruency in us.
mm,
We feel like we're not who we're supposed to be.
yeah.
And not just that we don't have the things that we want to have, right? It's not just
Yeah, yeah.
from a capitalist perspective, but at the core of who we are, we're longing to be
Yeah,
who God made us to be. And so every time we're not her, I joke with my clients and I say she's sitting there side eyeing us like, so when you gonna come and be me? Like when you gonna come get
yeah.
me? Because I'm over here and I'm waiting for you, and you just keep serving these people, and you just keep talking about loving Jesus, but you burning yourself out. And so it's
Mm,
figuring out though how we reintegrate the two. And so
okay.
one of the things that I like to ask people is, and when I'm getting to know them in therapy, but also just in life, tell me about who you are when nobody says you have to be on.
Mm, that'll tell you a lot,
And what's really disheartening is how many people can't answer that question even after a
right?
long pause because so much of their life is about being on,
Yeah, yeah.
right? On stage, on display, like just on. And so helping us to slow ourselves down to think about, okay, this is the life that I have. I can't change it. Even if I
Uh-huh.
really want to, maybe there's some parts of it I can make adjustments to, but some parts of it are just what they are, right? I've got the kids
Right,
I've got the partner I've got, I'm serving at the church I'm serving, all the things.
right.
And so it's to like do an assessment, if you will, of like, okay, I'm looking at my life, and for the most part, things are okay on the surface. How are they internally? And then it's giving myself permission to be honest about what's coming up for me.
Yeah. Why do you think I'm totally
Mhm,
taking a rabbit trail, but why do you think that's so hard for I think this is my opinion,
mhm,
obviously, that's hard for women in general, but I believe it's also even harder for women in ministry, and
mhm.
I'm curious as to why that might be.
Yeah, I think in part, as you mentioned, it's hard for women in general to some extent because of how we're raised, right? We are
Yep,
generally taught to care about other people and to put their
yep,
needs before our own and to be
nurture.
considerate and to be kind and to nurture others and all the things. And so I'm trying to teach my 11-year-old girl that it's appropriate and well to be kind and considerate and thoughtful, but not at your own expense all the time.
Oh,
Right. Because there is a difference. There's a shift
yeah,
from I think about the scripture that talks about where Jesus says, and I don't know if it's Jesus, but it's in the New Testament. There's just a verse that says, uh, I'm drawing a whole blank. Thanks, perimenopause. I appreciate you for showing up during this interview. It'll be great. Um, the scripture references though this idea that we are to be good to other people, right? I forget what that. Oh my, I'm like drawing a whole blank. The principle that I'm trying to speak to, though, that I was trying to grab from scripture that resonates for me is this idea that I should be good to others, but not to the extent that I'm not good to myself.
Mm,
Like God doesn't expect me to doormat my way through my Christian journey.
right,
Other people's needs are not supposed to take precedent all the time. That doesn't mean
right,
not ever, but it can't always be that the church is more important. It can't
right,
always be that my husband is more important. It can't always be that my kids are more important. It can't always be that the people I'm caregiving for are more important. There have to
right.
be pockets of time, and we can be prayerful about what that looks like. We can ask God for wisdom and guidance. We can, consult with the people in our world and space to say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, how I can take better care of myself. What does that look like?" But this notion of prioritizing our own well-being too,
Mhm.
right? I think we're like, "Well, get to me later." And I'm like, "Well, later? Like, when is that gonna happen?"
Right.
And then it doesn't, and then we're resentful, and then we're bitter, and then we're
Yeah.
cantankerous, and then our attitudes stink, and then we're
Cantankerous.
snarky, and then, like,
Yeah,
and it
yeah, or
builds, right? It's not nobody's really choosing that. Nobody's like, "I wanna be the person who." No, it's all
right.
of these, you know consistent practices of like disregarding what we need in the moment. Like, "Oh, I don't need that. Oh, I don't need
Mm,
that. Oh, that's not important. Oh, I'll do that
that's
later."
good.
Oh, like I think about, and this is like a tangent, but I think about the women, and I'm not asking her to share with us in any way, but the women who have underwear from before their kids were like the women who have bras that no longer have elastic in the strap. Like, they're just holding but, like, you think about the things that we don't tend to for ourselves,
Yes,
but those
yes.
kids get new shoes, new socks, new underwear, new undershirts every season
Oh,
or every start of the
yep,
school year, like clockwork. There's some
yeah,
refurbishing of their things, and if you
right.
ask some women, some wives, some moms in ministry and beyond, they're like, "I don't know the last time I had a proper bra fitting. I don't know the last time I've been to the dentist. I don't know the last
That
time I've
that's
been
what I was
to
gonna say is
physical,
it's
like,
not
to have
even
my
just about
physical."
the clothes, it's
No.
about the I mean, think about all the times you're taking your people, whether they're your kids or your
Y
nieces, your nephews, your
Yep,
grandkids, whatever.
yep,
You're taking your spouse, your
yep,
friend, you're taking your people
your
to the
people.
doctor and to their follow-ups and the people on your care team and your but
Yep.
you haven't been to the GYN in 12 years, and I say that because that was me.
Mm.
I literally in that season that we were doing
Yeah,
the ministry side by
yeah.
side down there, I would it went
Mhm,
12 years and then had
mhm.
all kinds of things that popped up
Yeah.
that were abnormal and suspect and
Yep.
all of those
Mhm,
scary words
mhm.
because I kept waiting for,
Yeah.
"I'll take care of that another time," or when things slow down, which you and I both know, like, ministry doesn't slow down.
Nope.
A Sunday comes every Sunday,
Every
and
Sunday.
summers are not slow
No,
because
they're
there
not.
are all these extra things that pop up. So you're waiting on something that, and while you wait, you're not even you can't lead
Right,
when you're empty. And
right,
so
right.
we have to also it's kind of like the I know it's like so super overused analogy about the oxygen
Yeah.
mask, but it's
It
fact.
is so real. And you
It's a
can't lead
fact.
well because you can lead, but you're gonna
Oh
be
yeah,
in the
on your
neck,
own
right?
strength.
Right. You can't lead well empty,
Right.
right? And this idea that I think that's the challenge is sometimes in church context, people are broken, wounded, beat
Mhm,
down, all the things, and somehow the anointing shows up and the sermon goes well and the singing goes well and people think, "Oh, they're great." And they are in that moment, but their life outside of that moment
mhm,
is sometimes so desolate.
yeah.
And so it is to figure out what is it that I need in this season to be full, to be fully present with the Lord. What does my prayer time need to look like? What does my
Mm,
devotional time need to look like?
yep.
What does my car time need to look like? Because some of us spend a lot of time in our cars, my God. In, driving people, picking up, dropping off, taking food, and some
Oh,
of us, we're just doing all the things. And so the car time, right? We're like, do we have
yeah,
to listen to music all the time? Could it be a quiet ride? Could it be a
yeah,
podcast ride? Could we listen to the audio Bible? Could we like what are the ways that we can maximize some of those moments
yeah.
to grow our spirit, to grow our faith in Christ so that when the rubber meets the road, it's not all fumes.
Mm. I love that because you just set me up for this next question, and it's this because you talk about sister friendship
Mm,
as
mm,
something that can steady us. So as you were talking about that, I was like, "Oh, this is perfect. Because what
Yes.
does a genuinely
Mhm.
steadying friendship actually look like? And
Yeah.
how does the woman listening know if she has one or if she just thinks she has one?
Yeah. For me, I think about studying friendships, and not just for me personally, but when I'm thinking about it more globally too. Sister friendships are the spaces where you can be as much of yourself as possible and feel accepted.
Mm, okay.
Right? So that means if I've got bedhead, if I've got, if my lips aren't painted on, because that's a big deal for me sometimes. Like if I, all the things, the superficial things not being in place, can I still show up with this person and feel seen and cared for? And
Yeah.
then, because friendship, in my opinion, has to be mutual for it to really be beneficial, how much is this person able to show up as their full self with me?
Right.
Right? Do I make room for their thoughts? Do I make room for their feelings? Are our conversations pretty even in terms of how long we've been talking, who's been responding, because some of us have people who will just come and dump on us and they just bring us all the trash from the last few weeks and they're just like, bleh. And then they're like, oh my gosh, girl, I feel so much better. Thank you for calling. And you're like, wait a minute. I didn't get to say anything.
And you're like, "And I'm exhausted."
And I'm worn out, right? And now I'm
Yeah.
heavier because I just picked up all your stuff.
Right.
So it is to acknowledge that the relationship has some degree of fluidity. It's not like, we're not keeping tabs of who's doing what,
No.
but we're showing up in a way that is authentic to who we are. The other thing that I believe is really important about sister friendships is that we communicate where we are and what we need.
Mm.
So sometimes a friend will call me, and one friend in particular, she'll call and she'll say, "Hey, do you have capacity for fill in the blank?"
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
And that has become a steady practice for us because she knows I'm a clinician. So some days I'm over it. I don't want to talk to nobody about nothing. And I know that's
Mm-mm.
not good grammar, but that's where I am sometimes. And
Right?
so
Fair.
sometimes that's where I am. And so she'll say, "Hey, do you have capacity for a conversation around this topic?" And usually the answer is yes. A couple days ago, the answer was no. And so I didn't respond to the call immediately. And I called her back later and said, "Hey, how are you?" And I picked up from there. But this idea of creating space and asking for what we need when we need it and
Yeah.
communicating when we're unable to deliver on what we said we would,
Mm.
because things shift,
Yeah.
right? When you've got children or you've got an aging parent or you've got health stuff of your own or you're supporting somebody through their journey, you used to be the person who was a 9 o'clock show up ready to go all the time from start to finish. You're not in that space anymore, and so it's okay to reach out to the ministry leader, or if you are the ministry leader, to communicate to your team that, hey, things are a bit different now. I'll probably arrive closer to 9:30 or 9:45. You all know
Right.
what to do. Go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
Right? So that then you're offering yourself and the opportunity to show up in the way that you absolutely can
Yeah.
without feeling like you're not meeting the expectation, because you're stating the new expectation. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you if and when 9 o'clock becomes a real time I can get back to. Maybe it does.
Right.
And maybe this is an invitation to not have to be the 9 o'clock show up person.
Well,
'Cause
you're
yes,
modeling
that
how to advocate for yourself, how to have your own voice,
yes.
and showing them, "Hey, this is healthy, this is
Mhm.
normal. You don't have to
Absolutely.
be everything to everybody." And I think when you're looking at this sister friendship, it's I like that you said it's not about keeping score.
Yeah,
I use the gauge of, do when the conversation ends, am I utterly exhausted?
right.
Or am I like, "Let's go conquer the world." If I
Yeah, yeah,
can walk away,
yeah.
and I know that's not always. Sometimes
Cool.
when we sit with our friends, we inevitably will pick up some of
Mhm.
their stuff and we carry it because we love them. Not
Yes.
because it's ours to fix, but
Mhm.
because we
Sure.
love them and
Yeah.
we mourn with them, we
Mhm.
grieve, we lament with
Mhm.
them. We're
Mhm.
we're like Job's friends before they
Yes.
blew it, started
Yes.
talking, right?
Yes. Yes.
We're we're sitting with
Yeah.
them. We're not
Yeah.
even like,
Mhm.
so sometimes you can do that and walk away from a sister friendship and feel that because of that. But I
Yes.
think it's a good reminder to
Mhm.
just kind of, everything I've heard you say today is awareness and checking the gauges and checking in with yourself. How do I
Yeah.
feel? How does that make me feel?
Mhm.
Is this draining? Does this fill me up? Is this,
Yeah.
and it's a good way to gauge all of
Mhm.
the things that they're
Yes.
doing in ministry and friendship,
Mhm.
marriage,
Mhm.
children. Like, you're not
Mhm.
getting rid of your kids or your husband or anything like that, but it is
Yeah.
a place for you to adjust and
Absolutely.
tweak what's
Yes.
working and what's not working. So, um, one last question, and
One
this is
thing, can I add one thing to that last piece about sister friends? The other thing that I'm really intentional about, most people who know me will tell you, she will pray at the drop of a dime. Because if you're telling me something heavy that's hard, that's just a lot, and I've listened, I will have done my friendship duty in that regard and fine. But I will also say, hey, before we go, let's pray.
yeah.
And I will be praying and asking God in part to obviously take good care of you and tend to the thing. But also in that moment, I'm reminding myself that I don't have to
Mhm.
carry this, that we
Yep.
didn't have this conversation for me to pick up your heavy weights.
Right.
Right? I am in that moment surrendering it back to the Father, back to the Creator, back to the God who loves us deeply because we're his daughters,
Right.
period. Right? And when I do that, then I don't leave the conversation as heavy. That doesn't mean I'm not impacted at all.
Right.
But when I
Right.
put it back in the proper hands, then I'm not holding it as tightly. I'm holding it more loosely and I'm still praying as we, kind of move through the week.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and it's not yours to fix.
absolutely.
It's yours maybe to bear one
Mm,
another, right? Where
sure, sure, sure.
you're
Yes.
you're with them, but
Yes.
it's not yours to to schlep along the mountain and
Correct.
fix.
Yes. Nope.
I love that
Yeah.
delineation, so thank you for that.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
one big last question. There's
Yes.
somebody listening right now, and she has been putting herself last for a very, very long time. She knows it. She may not talk about it. She may
Mhm.
not say anything, but right now she's
Yeah.
listening and she's like, oh, they are talking to me. What is one thing, just one
Yeah.
thing, like one step she can take
Mhm.
to this week to
Yeah.
start changing that in any of the capacities that we've talked about?
Sure.
Just you know, you and I both know it can be super overwhelming, and we're like, I don't even know where to start. So I just want to give her a
Yeah.
step.
Pick one thing, the most immediate thing.
Okay.
If you're thirsty, get yourself something to drink.
Hmm.
If you're hungry, get yourself something nourishing to eat. Right? It's
Right.
basic because we need that sometimes. Sometimes we are so in the throes of taking care of everybody else that we haven't eaten all day. We have a headache and we're trying to figure out why we're angry. But we're hangry. You haven't had anything
Right.
all day. You had that little cup of coffee that was hot, then it was cold, and so then you drank a cold cup of coffee when it wasn't iced, like, just all the things that tend to happen in the day and life
Yeah.
of a woman,
And you're like,
and
oh,
so
it's okay.
yes, it's fine, but it's not, and so it's okay to say, "I actually would like a hot cup of coffee." Okay, so I'm gonna have a hot cup of
Good.
coffee, and I'm gonna enjoy it while it's hot, and that's the plan, and I'm gonna do
Yeah.
that today, and maybe every day this week, that's what I do. I enjoy a
Mm.
hot cup of coffee every day this week because that's what I want or need to do. Right? It's
Mm.
it be that simple. And if you need something a bit bigger, because people are like, oh, that's just a cup of coffee. Okay, fine, I hear you. Then it is to schedule that thing. If it's the
Yeah.
dental appointment, if it's the medical appointment, if it's the follow up from the thing. I was talking to somebody a few weeks ago who had to visit the ER for something. And I said, hey, when I checked in with her afterwards, I said, have you made your follow up appointment with your primary care provider? And she was like, "Huh?" And I said, "Yeah, when they discharge you from the hospital, they tell you to see your primary care provider." And she said, "Yeah, that was on the discharge papers." And I said, "Yeah, so when are you gonna schedule?" And she was like, "Well," I said, "Okay, well, I'll be reaching out midweek to see if you've scheduled." This wasn't a client, by the way, this was a friend. And I
Right.
reached out and I said, "Hey, have you?" And so finally she reached back and she said, "Hey, Rev, I just saw my primary care doctor. We talked about the things and the thing, and that was super helpful because I learned XYZ. And I wouldn't have gotten that information if I had not followed up with my primary care doctor because the
Right.
ER is managing emergencies only. They're not giving
Right.
me the full rundown of what those tests mean and what they showed. So again,
Right.
that example of pick one thing and do
Yeah.
that one thing with some degree of consistency and then do one more thing. And
Yeah.
it's like eating an
Yeah.
elephant. I know we don't typically eat elephants, but that
Yeah.
analogy lands for some people,
Yeah.
right? We're like, you can't eat the whole elephant in one big bite, even if you're really hungry. And so take the small bites you can take. And as you chunk those small chunks, you'll find
Mhm.
that, you know what, I'm doing a better job over time
Right.
prioritizing myself, taking care of
That's
me,
so good.
advocating for me.
That's so good. Well, we didn't even talk about your book. We didn't there were
We
so
did
many
not.
other things
Yes,
that we didn't talk about, but we will put your book and the link and
we
all of
do.
that
Yes.
in the show notes. Where is the best place, for people to connect with you and
Mhm.
find out more about your work?
Yes, Instagram is the best place at Your Life's Well, YOUR Lif, Your Life's Lifeswell. I'm like, what? Don't misspell it for the people. It's Your Life's
It'll be
Well,
in
I
the show
promise.
notes, it's fine.
It'll be in the show notes, but Instagram is the best place to find me. I post there pretty regularly now. You can message
Okay.
me, email information, all those things are located there.
Awesome. Well, we are so glad that you took some time out to join us today on the Ministry Chick Network podcast. It has been amazing reconnecting with you,
Yes.
and I cannot wait to check out your podcast.
Yes.
I
Reach
know
out
it's
to me
not
via
directed
email.
to me, but
Oh, so
I do feel
yes, you got
so.
I love
You
you.
know,
I love you for that, Melissa. I really do.
I,
You have
I
felt
do
like
feel
safe
it.
space. So I am, yeah. So please share. Absolutely. Check it out. I'd love to hear your feedback as well. Thank you again for this invitation to be here with your community. I don't take for granted. I know that when we're building something really beautiful and wonderful, we get God's wisdom about who to invite
Yeah,
into the space. And so I'm
yeah.
grateful to be counted as one of those people. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, we will see you next time on the Ministry Chick Network podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Bye bye. Friend, I hope today's conversation with Erica gave you something that you needed. If you want to connect with Erica, find her at yourlifeswell.com, on Instagram at Your Life's Well, and catch her podcast, Melanated Moments with Erica, on Spotify. All the links will be in the show notes. And if you're all ready for a room that was built for you, not just a generic leadership content, but support specifically created for women in ministry, I want to invite you to check out the Ministry Chick Network individual membership. It's $45 a month, no contracts, and you can join right now at ministrychick.com. You don't have to lead alone, and you don't have to lead without a plan. I will see you next time on the Ministry Chick Network podcast.